CNN has some breaking news for you. China lied about their coronavirus numbers.
I don't believe it.
Who would have thought? Certainly not us. And more Democrat lawmakers, they're caught breaking their own lockdown rules. And Al Sharpton tries to call out President Trump and his, quote, cronies about their crimes, but apparently forgot about his own tax history. We've got all that and much more coming up, and it starts right now. Hey there, welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Hillary Kennedy, filling in for Sarah Gonzalez while she is out on maternity leave. With me today, Mr. Glenn Beck, host of the Glenn Beck program. Thanks for being here.
You bet.
And then, of course, Rob Eno, our BlazeTV media critic. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so China lied.
The communists?
I can't even believe
shocked.
it.
I am really
Winnie
shocked.
the Pooh lad.
I mean, this is crazy what they did.
I didn't even think I could go on after I read this. I've had so much faith in China all these years, but apparently CNN has uncovered something huge. They found a trove of leaked internal documents from China that
Just now.
Just now.
Yes,
this
not
just
2
happened.
weeks ago.
They found this
Or a month and a half
yesterday.
ago before the election.
Right.
Just now.
They reported on this yesterday that China did underreport their COVID numbers. Here is a clip.
We have some breaking news for you. In our world lead, CNN has obtained leaked documents from inside China, documents that reveal the missteps and the chaos of the Chinese government's early response to the coronavirus pandemic. The documents are from Hubei province, home to the city of Wuhan, where the pandemic is thought to have started. They show authorities released misleading public data on the number of deaths and the number of cases. They took, on average, 3 weeks to diagnose a new case and much more.
Okay, so that's not even all.
Oh, but wait, may I just comment on this part? For those of us who said that was bigger than what China was saying and that they were silencing people, remember we were banned? So
You were fact-checked.
Yeah, we were fact-checked.
And there was a little thing that was put over your face that said,
that's right.
This might be false information. Do you still want to read it?
Correct. But it turns out we were the ones that were right. You can't trust a country that has killed 90 million of their own people? That's hard to believe.
Isn't it? Well, in this report, they describe how these leaked documents provide key revelations about China underreporting. Well, listen to that.
The documents provide a number of key revelations about the province of Hubei, home to the epicenter city of Wuhan. Firstly, some of the death tolls were off. The worst day in these reports is February the 17th, where these say 196 people who were confirmed cases died. But that day, they only announced 93.
What?
China was also circulating internally bigger, more detailed totals for new cases in Hubei. For one day in February, recording internally nearly 6,000 new cases. Some diagnosed by tests, others clinically by doctors, and some suspected because of symptoms and contacts, but all pretty serious. Yet publicly that day, China reported nationwide about 2,500 new confirmed cases. The rest were downplayed.
Back in April, President Trump said, we believe that their numbers seem to be a little bit on the light side, and I'm being very nice when I say that.
May I interrupt, because I just was handed some breaking news from CNN. Apparently, Hitler did kill a lot of Jews.
It's amazing.
I didn't know that. It just handed to me. It's on some leaked information.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, that's how crazy this is. They are, I swear to you, it is like we live in a parallel universe, and somehow or another, we all remember what the truth is. We all remember what normal is. These guys don't remember that at all. They don't, they do it with a straight face all the time. Now that this is coming out, and have you heard the New York Times, not making this up, the New York Times, the Daily, just went on and said, we haven't really talked about the economy, it seems, in years, and we thought we'd take a look at the economy. It's surprisingly doing well. That was like 5 days after the election. And they said it without any self-awareness of, I wonder why it's been maybe 4 years since you've talked about the economy.
Completely insane.
We can believe the CNN guy now because he's British, right? So as long as somebody British is talking, we can believe the numbers.
They're
It's nice
smarter.
and soothing. It's smarter. But I mean, the fact that China's, like you said, if you said anything about China lying, if you said we can't believe their numbers, if you said whatever you said, you'd either lack context.
Yeah.
That's one of their favorite ones. They like it's partly true. You are an anti-China conspiracy theorist, and you just don't know what you're talking about. If you use common sense at all, the media paints you to be a liar, and they have. Well, only if you're a conservative or libertarian or a Republican. If you're somebody else, they don't. And I mean, it's just amazing to me. China puts people in camps now, right? They put people in actual concentration camps. Yet we're supposed to believe everything they say.
Well, they use these Uyghurs for labor, and they teach them new skills like making Nike tennis shoes, which Nike doesn't have a problem with. Nike is actually fighting against the anti-Uyghur slavery laws here in America that they're going through bipartisan support. Hey, let's not buy things made by slaves. Here's this so pious and really wide awake company of Nike saying, whoa, let's slow down with that. I mean, I don't know. When you say no products made by slaves, you don't really mean like tennis shoes, do you? Oh my gosh.
Have you been to Western China, Glenn? It's pretty desolate. They're just trying to make it a better place.
That's all they're trying to do.
Well, I will say that some people did finally call CNN out on this. Donald Trump Jr. said, CNN finally realizes China lied 10 months later. Someone else, exclusive, China lies, CNN shocked. That was from Team Trump social media director Mike
Hahn.
Hahn.
I think they come out with this now is because it's not about Donald Trump. This was important for them to take the line for China, because the opposite would have been that I agree with Donald Trump. Now that there's no Donald Trump that's going to stand in their way, now they're like, let's look into that again.
It's been the entirety of 2020, right? We had the study comes out last week that hydroxychloroquine with zinc and azithromycin and a little bit of vitamin D. Well, it did save people's lives. That just comes out all of a sudden
right. We had
after the election.
Fauci yesterday saying, there's some really good, compelling arguments. Maybe we should put our kids back into schools. Really? Wow, that's
and a vaccine, 3 days.
Vaccine.
I remember. I'm old enough to remember that when Donald Trump said we will have a vaccine this year, it will be approved within weeks. We should be able to distribute it within weeks, and 8 weeks is weeks. There were fact checks that said that he claimed that without evidence. He's the president of the United States that has been talking to these companies, and his team has been talking to these companies. Give him the benefit of the doubt. My friends keep saying there's 25,000 Donald Trump lies. 24,900 of them were somebody's opinions.
Right.
You know what I mean? That were fact checked. It's ridiculous.
The thing with the Pfizer, I think Pfizer, I think that's criminal what they did. I really do think that's criminal. They knew it. They held it. They let Biden know before they let the press or anybody else know. I mean, we should check to see if the Bidens made an investment in Pfizer the night before they announced it. But here's the president. He's talking to Pfizer. He knows. He knows exactly what's going on. They intentionally hold it back to sway the election. It is criminal. Just criminal.
It is. It's awful. Do you think that anybody's going to look at this report from CNN and think that it's actual breaking news?
Oh, I think there's a lot of people in this country.
Did you hear about the Jews and Hitler that I just announced? I mean, that's breaking news, too.
There's a lot of people in this country that only believe what the media tells them and believed what China said because they just only believe what the media tells them. It's a problem. But I think that there will be some people, I mean, I don't know if it's a large amount.
Have you seen the ratings of CNN?
Hasn't been great lately.
They're in the toilet. And they're going to be sold. They will be sold. There's no way that AT&T, they own it now, right?
AT&T right around the corner, yep.
Yeah, I can't imagine that AT&T is looking at that investment and going, well, that's going well.
Well, they bought Warner Media for HBO, for all of those things, for the Warner catalog, for DC Comics, for all of that. They did not buy it for CNN.
Right, which means they can also peel it away and sell it for scrap.
Right.
I mean, it's television news is going down the crapper.
Yep.
And CNN is not long.
Thank goodness for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so while we're talking about China, there's a Chinese sociologist, Dr. Li Yi. He recently delivered some remarks where he declared that it's only a matter of time before China overtakes the United States and effectively puts an end to it. He said the U.S. will not survive, will drive the U.S. to its death. We're going to overtake the United States in 2027. He said, God created COVID-19 and spread it to every country in the world. It's bad for Europe and America, but it's beneficial for North Korea and China. Now, here's something interesting. He said, we have 4,000 dead, right? But if 4,000 Chinese die versus 220,000 in the United States, we haven't really lost a single person, have we?
Well, other than the 4,000, has he read the leaked documents from CNN?
Apparently he's missed that because he thinks that China only lost 4,000 people and also believes that North Korea hasn't had a single case of coronavirus.
I mean, this is the thing that strikes me about the media and about where we are as a country and about my leftist friends. They don't think China is a big problem. My libertarian friends, too, want to keep trading with them. But they don't think that this is a problem. We have a man that we know his son flew on a plane when he was vice president of the United States to China to get a deal that maybe it wasn't worth $1.5 billion, but had the ability to be worth $1.5 billion. That was what it was supposed to be. We have this person, one of this person's top diplomats that's coming in saying, oh, we have to help China rise, right? So we have to help it along. They are our mortal enemy. They want us dead. They want us speaking Mandarin. They have taken that whole Eastern hemisphere of the world and have turned it back into, I'm old enough also to remember when communists weren't colonialists, right? Mm-hmm. They have basically done neo-colonialism on the entire east coast of Africa. They have the Silk Road project both on land and on the sea, where they are trying to basically colonize everything around them. Everything Japan tried to do in the 1940s, China's trying to do now. They are trying to take over the world. That is what the communists do. Mm-hmm. That's their goal, is to bring communism to the world. We think that they don't, because they've got a few Rolls Royces now and some Rolexes, and they let people have some money. But I mean, we've seen what happens to Chinese billionaires when they fall out of line. They no longer have their money, right?
Or they disappear, probably in some nice island, or that town that Hitler is building for the Jews that's so nice and private for them. Probably they're there.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that we don't think of them as our enemy, because they are.
If you do any just basic research on, it's interesting that he said we'll destroy them by 2027. That seems oddly specific. Why not 2030? Why not 2025? Why 2027? They, in the year 2000, put together a 30-year plan to destroy the West. Okay? 30-year plan. They think differently than us. Okay? The progressives put a 100-year plan in to take over America. China did, I think it's China 2030 is what it's called, I think. And it spells out everything that they're doing, everything that they want to do, and who their enemies are. What are we doing? Donald Trump, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, Donald Trump is the only president, except for Ronald Reagan, that understood global politics and who enemies really were and who friends were. He's the only one.
And they did it, right? The Chinese did it by buying our culture. They own a lot of Hollywood. They own Legendary Pictures. They own a lot of Hollywood. They own the movie distribution channels. They own swaths of the country, right, of the country. But they've also done it by buying our culture and having power over our culture, and that's what they've done.
They are not our friend. Okay, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. This year, it's reminded us of many things, including how important it is to look after the ones that we love. So this holiday season, give the gift of safety, accuracy, and self-defense. Give them iTarget Pro.
And if I may say, you will save so much money. We've been target practicing, went out, but just buy range bullets. Oh my gosh, they're so expensive. This will save you a ton of money, and it's great. It really is great.
It's awesome. One of the reasons, because the government can't always protect you, your family, self-defense is your only option, but most of us don't have time to consistently train. And like Glenn said, ammo is crazy expensive right now, and that's why they invented iTarget Pro. Using their proprietary app and the laser bullet, you can train safely in the convenience of your own home with your actual firearm, and it comes in all the major calibers, so you can stay sharp with really almost any firearm. So today you can save 10% plus get free shipping with the offer code NEWS at checkout when you go to itargetpro.com. So this is the smartest way for you to practice, and it pays for itself in just a few days. So this holiday season, give the gift that's a bullseye. That's the letter I, targetpro.com. That's itargetpro.com. Offer code NEWS. We'll be back in a minute. If you live in California, you're probably very tired of all the strict restrictions on where you can eat and shop and what you can do. Well, a California Democrat, she's taken some heat after she was caught eating outside at a restaurant immediately after she voted to ban outdoor dining at restaurants. Her name is Sheila Kuehl, and she voted to ban the outdoor dining at the 31,000 restaurants in LA County over COVID-19 safety concerns. But Fox 11 there received multiple tips shortly after her vote that she was seen dining outside at El Forno Trattoria in Santa Monica, an Italian restaurant near her house.
You know, the Governor Cuomo invited his mother to Thanksgiving dinner with him, only because he thought, I'm sure this is it, he didn't think anyone would report that. So he thought he could get away with it until somebody reported it, and then he was like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. No.
Well, he's so dedicated to killing old people that he invited his mother too. Just not to
Has he heard that Biden has broken an ankle? Maybe you should rush him to some nursing home up in New York.
I thought they might take out Biden, but I didn't think it was going to be the dog.
Well, I love these responses that they give when they get caught. A spokesperson for Sheila Kuehl, who got caught, said she did dine at this restaurant on the very last day it was permissible. Oh. She loves El Forno and has been saddened to see, like so many restaurants, that they suffer from a decline in revenue. So she ate there, taking appropriate precautions, and sadly will not dine there again until our public health orders permit. They basically said, she's trying to help support them during their time of need, even though she's voting to shut them down.
Right.
They're shutting down everyone who has an understanding on what America really is, what the backbone really is. And the backbone are the entrepreneurs, are the small local businesses, the people that started that restaurant and work still behind the, in the kitchen. They're killing all of those things, killing them.
There are 8 million people that went into poverty over the past 8 months. 8 million new people fell into poverty. Those people are obviously selfish, because they wanted to keep working and they wanted to earn a living and they wanted to provide for their family. The restaurant owners are selfish. She was selfish because she went and she wanted to support somebody that she liked. The real selfish people are the people that want us to stop our lives. Those are the real selfish people.
Yeah, but good news is Bernie Sanders, possible labor secretary. So there's not going to be any restrictions on labor. It's going to be sweet in America. And Janet Yellen, who, I love this because the left hates Wall Street, hates banks, hates the government system, right? Janet Yellen, I think, went from Wall Street to San Francisco to run the Fed. Then she ran the Fed. She was the head chair of the Fed. And now she's right in government. Who's better to look at everybody and say, hey, you 5 banks that are all a mysterious cabal here of the Federal Reserve, here's what you need to do. This is being set up. It's like Ocean's 11, except we know how they did it. It's like we watched the ending. We know how they're doing it, and nobody's doing anything.
Can't stop it. Well, so it's interesting. I don't know what is going on in California with some of these leaders, but there's another Democrat mayor, San Jose mayor, Sam Liccardo. He's also in hot water after violating coronavirus restrictions. He's accused, of violating coronavirus restrictions for Thanksgiving after he told residents in his city to cancel big gatherings. He was saying, don't travel, don't leave your house. But apparently he went to visit his family for Thanksgiving. It says few details about Liccardo's Thanksgiving celebration have been released. It appears the gathering did elude guidelines frequently touted by the Santa Clara County Public Health Department. So they're saying he celebrated Thanksgiving with his elderly parents and an unknown number of other guests.
He's a killer. He's a bloodthirsty killer. That's what they've been saying about us. He's a bloodthirsty killer. By the way, did you see Cardi B? Cardi B did an Instagram, a video where she had 25 adults and 12 children.
Good for her.
Good for her. Good for her. She immediately apologized. And she was like,
Yeah, she was like, sorry if I offended anybody.
Just like coronavirus doesn't attack under 5 feet.
Yeah,
just like as it doesn't go over plexiglass.
Right.
It doesn't affect elected leaders and their families.
Wow, that's amazing.
It has been programmed to not do that. Yes.
Well, Stu pointed out on his show.
I got that from leaked papers in China.
The British guy read it, so I believed it.
Stu was pointing out how, numbers get underreported over weekends and holidays, and then it's going to show this huge spike typically after.
Starting today.
Right. So do you think that the left is going to continue to use that to their advantage, even though?
Absolutely. You watch. You should start seeing these numbers being reported today. Because of the holiday weekend and everything else, nobody reported numbers, or very few people did. So it's going to look like all of a sudden this huge spike. And they're going to blame it. I couldn't take it when they started to say this week, numbers are going to spike, and it's because of those selfish people with Thanksgiving. When did they ever say that about any of their huge rallies? When did they say that? Oh, no, that's not a problem. They didn't even try to explain it away. Well, they're outside, and it's not as toxic outside, whatever. They didn't even try to explain it.
Yeah.
This one, they're going to blame the rise in numbers, which are just late reports. They'll blame it on Thanksgiving.
Donald Trump's outdoor airplane rallies killed grandma, killed grandpa.
Yeah.
The Biden celebrations and the BLM protests outside. The way that they just say it with a straight face and accept you to believe it. But, it might have done a little bit, but institutional racism is a bigger problem than people getting coronavirus. So you've got to let them do it.
Well, we've only got about a minute. I just wanted to touch on this really quickly while we're talking numbers. Japan had more suicides in October than all of the COVID-19 deaths during the pandemic.
Oh, my gosh.
They're saying, loneliness, people being isolated from one another is a huge contributor. They had 2,153 suicides in October.
Wow.
Japan
is it's a fascinating place, and really in some ways sad. The way they aren't having families, they're not getting married and having children, and it's just a society seemingly like we are on self-destruct. But it's sad to see, and now the loneliness killing more than COVID.
Yeah,
wow.
It's the cure being worse than the cause. It is really sad because they only had 2,051 total coronavirus deaths in the country, but then their suicide rate just keeps going up and up. So that is a sad statistic. All right, so we have to go to break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Al Sharpton. Good story about him there. All right, we want to thank our sponsor, Headspace. Life can be stressful even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life, and you need stress relief that goes beyond just quick fixes. And that's what Headspace is for. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. It's one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever your situation, Headspace can really help you feel better. So if you're overwhelmed, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation for you. If you need some help falling asleep, I know I do, Headspace has wind down sessions that their members swear by. And then for parents, Headspace even has some morning meditations that you can do with your kids. Now, Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, it can improve your sleep, boost your focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. And Headspace is backed by 25 published studies on its benefits. It has 600,000 5-star reviews. That is a lot, and over 60 million downloads. And Headspace makes it easy for you to build life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works for you on your schedule, anytime, anywhere you are. You deserve to feel happier. Headspace is meditation made simple, so you can go to headspace.com/news. That's headspace.com/news for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation you face. Now, this is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/news today. We'll be back in just a minute.
Imagine it.
Oh, Al Sharpton, during his Gotcha segment on MSNBC, he went to work on Donald Trump, saying Trump and his cronies will pay for their many crimes. Let's take a listen.
Just like the turkey pardon by the president this week, which will suffer a shortened lifespan due to its pre-pardon activities, the villains in the Trump administration cannot be granted a total reprieve with a presidential pardon because the president of the United States can only pardon federal crimes. He has absolutely no power over state charges, and nearly everyone in the Trump orbit is facing state-level liability. The president and his adult children are facing multiple tax fraud cases. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is under investigation for falsifying real estate documents. And Paul Manafort could see a revival of state charges, just to name a few. And none of those can be disappeared with a presidential pardon. The president and his cronies will be held accountable for their many crimes. The turkeys have come home to roost, and I got you.
Oh my God. Where do we even begin, Al Sharpton? Where do we begin? Let me just ask you this. What's that really about? What's that story really about? Because it's not a message to Trump. It's not. It's a message to us. You, as a family, are successful, and you decide to get into politics, and you screw with this side. We will not only make your life a living hell while you're in office, we will drag your family through the mud forever. It sends a message, don't screw with us. When you hear that his children are now going through, for what? For what? Joe Biden's son? Nothing? Mm-hmm. His children are being sued at the state level? It's obscene. And how many Americans will learn from that? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't stand. They'll crush you.
Well, I also find it interesting that USA Today reported in September that Al Sharpton owed nearly $700,000 in back taxes for 3 for-profit businesses. Then the New York Post reported earlier this month that Sharpton's charity National Action Network paid Sharpton's 33-year-old daughter over $63,000 last year to do social media work and consulting. Paid his 45-year-old niece almost $14,000 for special event work with his nonprofit. The nonprofit also gave a $5,000 grant that they called a scholarship to Sharpton's wife, from whom he separated back in 2004. He also, Sharpton, Nan's president, he received a modest raise of 1% in 2019, bringing his pay to $327,000 a year.
Do you know how much money you have to make to have a $700,000 tax bill? It's a pretty profitable business he's in. Profitable
Some
business.
huge corporations make donations to that nonprofit.
Because he does what I just said, the media and the left are doing to the Trumps. You will let this pass, or I will take it out right in front of your storefront. I will smear you from left to right. And they do. Mm-hmm. And now they've learned they can make money and gain power that way. Mm-hmm. And so they got all of the corporations to fall into line. Now they're getting all of the Republicans and everybody else to fall in line. They got the media to fall in line. The only ones that are left are the people who are disagreeing with the mainstream media and the average person. Mm-hmm. You're next. You're next.
Well, it wouldn't be a News and White Day if we didn't talk just a little bit about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? I mean,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Do not call her AOC. It is very against her.
That's right. We aren't that close, so I can't call her AOC, right? Well, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, he took a swipe at her, basically accusing her of being more active on Twitter than anything else, because he was asked about her reaction to him declaring on social media, "We do not have some crazy socialist agenda, and we do not believe in defunding the police." Well, she reacted by tweeting out a picture showing her glaring at him from behind. And he said, "I guess she put a dagger stare on me. I don't know the young lady. I really don't. I've never met her. I'm understanding she's not that active with her bills or in committee. She's more active on Twitter than anything else." That's
So did you see the
right?
rest of this? I mean, that's the good part of what he said yesterday. But he also said he can't believe that 71 million people were so terrified or hated the Democratic Party so much that they would run to Donald Trump. No, that's not what happened, Joe. That is what happened. You're telling me 80 million people ran to a guy who is clearly feeble, clearly on his last legs mentally, because they hated Donald Trump so much? You find 71 million. 80 is a bigger number. 80 is a bigger number, Joe. What's happening there? This guy, if we don't win Georgia, they're going to tout him all the way up to that line and make him look like he's a moderate. Bull crap. I don't want to rely on a guy giving us charity crumbs when there's a vote.
Yeah, and back to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Twitter thing is absolutely, it shows what the left is, right? These people in the media, on Capitol Hill, on K Street, they all think Twitter's reality. They think that if it doesn't happen on Twitter, it didn't happen, which is why they got the Trump phenomenon so wrong, because that didn't take place on Twitter. They think that Russia spending, what was it, like $5,000 or whatever they spent in 2016 buying Facebook ads or like putting together Twitter groups and having a few bots was so bad because they think social media is the country. And they think that what happens on Twitter is real life. So to her, she's going above and beyond doing her job by doing all these things on Twitter, because that's the only place that really matters.
Yeah, it's interesting to me to see how many people on the left are getting more and more critical of her. You know, for a while it was like, she's the future, and I think people are starting to kind of see through some of that.
No, I think what's happened is now one side has power, and so now they're each going to try to off each other in the Democratic Party. They're making this into a big deal about Donald Trump being a split in the... Really? That's one split, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. The split in the Democratic Party that no one in the media is talking about is massive. Massive.
Yep. All right, we've got to go to break, but we have a lot more, so stick around.
And I think Ocasio-Cortez, her side will win. Because they're cutthroat.
Yeah. It's always fun listening to what Hollywood people have to say about conservatives. And Bette Midler, she never lacks anything to say, that's for sure. She tweeted recently, "How will Americans make any progress with Moscow Mitch as Senate Majority Leader? He'll block every piece of legislation created to move us forward because that's the definition of conservatism. We'll be treading water for years, except the rich, sailing by us in their yachts." Now,
Sailing by us?
Well, by her Santa Barbara mansion and her
Right.
Malibu
Well,
beach house, because it'll go right by the Malibu beach house.
I believe she is living hand to mouth. I believe she is living in a trailer, and she's living in that dreaded Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Malibu death triangle, where all of the gangs and she lives a tough life. You can be shivved in Malibu, at least in her neighborhood. It's despicable.
there were a lot of people that called her out on Twitter. I mean, even her fans said, "Now, I love your music," or "I'm a huge fan, but hey, I mean, don't you live pretty well?" A lot of people were like,
how'd she respond to that?
I don't think she the ones that I looked at, she hadn't responded to. A lot of times she just doesn't. But somebody posted a picture of her on an actual yacht with like Mariah Carey and a bunch of other big celebrities, which I thought was pretty awesome.
That's great.
But do you think this is how people in Hollywood see themselves
I
when they're
think a
posting
lot of them
these
see
kinds of
themselves
things?
as
They're like every man.
They're still like where they came from, and like, oh, I haven't gotten too big for myself, and there's a few people that don't buy into that, and like I think Matt McConaughey is one of them. Like he just lives in Austin, and he goes camping, and he does
the
all
ones
that kind of
that
stuff. There's like a few
don't
of them
feel
that
that way generally move away.
Yeah.
They're the ones that. I mean, I know a few people that are Hollywood types. They do not hang out with anybody else in the area, and they're fairly normal. But just living in California, in one of those neighborhoods, there's nothing normal. There's nothing normal in those neighborhoods.
Just on they're in a whole other stratosphere. All right, so let's talk about some Atlanta schools opening up for filming of the new Spider-Man movie, but not for students. This is actually happening. Despite students being barred from returning to in-person classes, the Atlanta Public Schools granted special permission to Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures to film Spider-Man at 2 of their local schools in January and March, even though they said maybe we'll have children return to class in January, but it's not a guarantee.
So will they have prop children? Is it not okay?
It's fine for actors.
Yeah, it's fine for children actors and children, bit players. Is that okay? But not for just children.
Like everything, coronavirus doesn't attack the entertainment industry.
Oh, man, there's a lot of rules.
There's a lot of rules to this coronavirus thing. It just doesn't.
Well, you have a scientific mind.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just it. The district delayed its plans to partially reopen schools for students last month. The school buildings and the classes, they were all closed. They were moved to fully online 8 months ago. And they did stop the use of its facilities for film production initially, but now they're changing their policy after some of the big name movie making companies threw their weight around. The production reportedly dangled $50,000 in extra incentives in front of the district, and the district said, well, yeah, maybe we can make this work.
Oh, wow.
That's the buyout number, $50,000.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
They undersold themselves dramatically.
Yeah, 50.
Maybe that's why we get
money.
into such problem in government is they think they can sell themselves for $50,000.
I mean, why do you think so many of these liberal lawmakers are fine with the film industry going back to what they used to, but not anybody else?
They know it's bullcrap. Watch tomorrow night's special on the Great Reset. It's not a conspiracy. I'm so sick of hearing that. It's not a conspiracy. John Kerry is now our green czar, our climate czar. He is one of the biggest proponents of the Great Reset. That's what all of this is about. COVID is real, but it's not what they say it is. The cure is not to hobble our economy and hobble and kill jobs and businesses in America. That's a different treatment for a different disease. And that disease is freedom, free market, smaller government. They have to eradicate that. They're fine with doing things themselves because they are all in on the bull crap. They all know.
Well, it's like any socialist country, right? Who's got the Mercedes, who's got the nice house, who's got all of those things. It's the people in charge in the leadership positions. I mean, you're not telling me that Joseph Stalin, got the same pay as everybody else in the Soviet Union and lived exactly the same way.
No, they had, the thing I always was amazed at in Moscow was the special lanes. If you were a member of the Communist Party and you had a role, you had your own lane on the highway and in the streets.
Wow.
It was like an express lane, except very few people were allowed to use it.
And if you did, when you wouldn't, you probably had a bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about Hollywood, let's talk about Alyssa Milano. A lot of people telling President Trump to get off Twitter. Alyssa Milano, she could maybe take a break too. But Ted Cruz, he took her on Twitter after she tried to blame him and fellow Republicans for the lack of a deal on the new coronavirus aid package. So he posted, today's Dems are the party of the rich. The GOP is and should be the party of the working class. And he had some statistics posted with this tweet. Well, she responded and said, this is hilarious. Why is the GOP blocking COVID relief from working class families if it's the party of the working class? Or blocking the bill to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour? Sit down. Well, he wrote back, Alyssa, facts matter. Dems have twice filibustered $500 billion in emergency COVID relief. Every single Senate Dem voted to block relief. Pelosi refuses even to talk because they believe maximizing economic pain helped Biden and it helps Dems in Georgia, and they trust the press to cover for them. She responded, but she ignored all those specific points that Ted Cruz raised. She just said, the American people aren't dumb, Ted. 14 million children, 5.5 million seniors don't have enough food to eat. Your party wants to bail out corporations and wealthy sycophants.
That is amazing. Which party is in bed with the corporations? Mm-hmm. Which party? This isn't 1980. The Democrats have a stranglehold on the corporate boardrooms in almost every large company in this country. How do you dismiss the facts? The reason why they won't vote for anything is because A, they want to see the pain. B, if they do propose a package, it's full of all kinds of giveaways for all of their special people. Separate lanes for the Communist Party. Mm-hmm. It's reprehensible how they just crush people. They will be responsible for poverty, unlike we've had since the Great Depression in America. It's only going to get worse. And they're not held accountable. Nobody ever checks a fact with them. Nothing.
Yep.
I'm just going to say that 12 and 13-year-old me is very sad after having the crush on Mona's granddaughter.
I
Sam.
know.
It's
She started off so strong.
Started off so strong. I mean, Tony Danza, I don't know if he's one of us, but he seems to be like one of those guys in Hollywood that has a head screwed on straight. Do you think he just like sends her emails and be like, what are you doing?
He's like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
No.
Probably not.
I think if you've talked to Alyssa Milano and you don't have to anymore, you don't.
All right, we got to go to break. We're going to have our question of the day when we come back.
Tony Danza's a nice guy.
Yeah,
he always seems like a genuine nice guy.
He and Chachi.
Our question yesterday, we asked you, what are you most worried about? Is it COVID-19, a Biden presidency, China, or automation? Not surprisingly, 81.4% of you said a Biden presidency. 10.9% of you said China. It's a close second that makes sense.
China, what you read earlier about the Chinese official that said, we're going to destroy them. No, they're not. No, they're not. We're going to do it for them. We're destroying ourselves right now. And a Biden presidency is, I think, key to that.
Mm-hmm. I think China and the Biden presidency are pretty much the same thing. So.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah. All right, our question today, who will be president in 50 days? Is it going to be Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden?
If Joe's dog has anything to say about it again, probably Kamala Harris.
Did you hear the dog psychic? The dog psychic, I'm not making this up. A dog psychic has connected to Joe Biden's dogs and said that they're very excited to live in the White House, and their master is being is really unsettled. He's normally calm, but he's unsettled because Donald Trump won't concede, and so he's worried about the transition.
Are you kidding
That's
me?
a dog psychic. But I did like the fact that a member of the Robinette family still has somebody in the household that calls him master. I think that's really nice.
I'm still holding out hope that in 50 days it will be Donald Trump. I'm still waiting for some hard evidence.
Me too.
I've got my fingers crossed, saying my prayers.
I had a couple of people on today. I had what's his name from the Overstock.com, Patrick Byrne, had him on today. He was fascinating. Because he didn't vote for Trump. He doesn't have a horse in the game, and he's spending a lot of money doing research. And I got the impression that's where Sidney Powell is getting a lot of her claims. And he says it's going to be released soon.
All right, the specials tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
All right, we don't want to miss
it.
that one. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. This is good. Good stuff.